Welcome to Lighten Up Talk Radio with Michael and Lee. Join us with topics that wake up the connection to your soul. You can listen to us at lightenuptalkradio.com. Welcome all you beautiful people out there. And yes, I did say beautiful. Whether you think you are or not, you are beautiful. Welcome to Lighten Up Talk Radio. It is May 27th, and we are about to kick off another episode. I'm here with Michael and Lee. Good morning, Lee.
And good morning, Michael. So glad to see you again.
Oh, yes. I just love doing the show together. It's
wonderful.
A blast.
Yes.
Well, we're going to kick off the show again by picking another card.
Good.
Shall I do it?
Go right ahead.
All righty. Again, we're using the Colette Baron Reed map cards. I think they're pretty neat.
They are.
The imagery is amazing. Mm-hmm. So let's see what's coming up today for us on the cards. Fascinating. The card is Coming Apart, and it shows two faces, like a facade, it looks like to me, and two sides of a person, and the things are crumbling. And it's really fascinating, because today we decided that we were going to talk about who are you, and this Coming Apart card just is drawing me to that. It's like the face, the facade, the mask. It's like two masks, and the masks are crumbling. And behind the mask is this bright light. It's so bright that it almost makes my eyes just kind of stand back. And the colors are kind of violet and purples and all of that kind of stuff with sparkles coming from behind the mask. And behind is this beautiful female that's kind of coming up behind, whisked in the sparkles. So, who are you? It's a fascinating thing we're going to talk about today, and to me, this card just is fascinating how it came up. So, Lee, who are you? You want to take a look at this card and see what stands out?
Yes. Coming apart. That is so true, because that's somewhat of the development that I've had going into myself, into the spiritual realm over the years. And I'm such a different person now compared to what I was a long time ago. And really being able to go in with yourself and really figure out who the real you is. And it's very interesting is when a lot of times when I do coaching work with other people, one of the first questions that I asked is, who are you? And I absolutely have had some remarkable type things with that, because they just look at me and because they just have really never thought who they were. And, a lot of times when, you think you do, but you really don't. And you can just change your whole being by going to another place and searching your soul to find out exactly who you are. This morning when I was in Knoxville, Tennessee, and I was driving back home, and by the way, that's where we're really out of, is Knoxville, Tennessee, Michael and myself. Not originally. I'm originally from Charlotte, North Carolina. And so anyway, I was driving back, and it was speaking to me. Spirit was speaking to me, saying, developing the tools to find who you really are is very important. And you would be able to say immediately who you are, because I am. And you could start out that sentence and complete it, and it would be exactly who you are. So it's very important to do that. And there is some of the, I think, topic today that we're going to talk about some of the tools to go around doing that. As we've said before, we never have an agenda. We pretty well can sit down and just go with it. And hopefully it's very, very informational, because we're both life coach type people. And we've had a lot of coaches in our past to coach us to where we're at now. And we're following on our passion to do that as well with all the people that's listening to us today. And what a wonderful time this is.
It is so wonderful. And, this whole topic that it's interesting because it really's been coming up the last couple days for me. Just the general theme of who am I, and who in a kind of a new way, where all of these gifts that I've recognized in myself are coming into a different. It's like the flowers opening, and I'm actually getting to see what's really there in a much deeper way than I ever even thought was possible, to be honest. And the last even couple of months, we may have even talked a little bit about this on another episode, but a lot of completion things have been happening with me, and along with those completions has been literally, as this card brought up today with the masks, are my own masks crumbling. And boy, have there been a lot of them. It's been layer after layer after layer. And through those layers, do I understand who I am? And do I get a deeper appreciation for and see who I am? And through those challenges and the opportunities that are given forth, do I, recognize more and more who I am? And if I didn't go through some of those failures and things in my life, I wouldn't have the opportunity of even knowing who I am. Sometimes, I don't know, I used to think this way. I used to think that if I failed at something, then I was, what was the purpose? On some level, if I would kind of not want to start something because I'm like, I might not be good enough, or I might fail at it. Well, as I've learned in my life after over and over again of learning the lessons, it is in those moments that are some of the most powerful awarenesses that I have learned about who I am.
That's absolutely true. And I had an absolute wonderful life coach, which I still am very good friends with him. And it was very interesting. I was in a session with him about 5 years ago, and I had a very traumatic thing to happen in my life. And it's been now almost 20 years. And I really wasn't sure exactly how I was going to come out of it, emotionally, financially, where I was going. This is when I actually contacted a life coach because I needed some help at that time, because I was very, very down. And I just kept thinking within myself, what could I have done to have changed this process of this happening? And it was very interesting. After I went to him for about 3 times, and I was doing this woe is me situation. Woe is me. I thought I had all this under control. Well, there was my first mistake there, because even the word control should never even been in my vocabulary, because we absolutely do not control anything. It is totally, our destiny is totally divine order. And so that right there, I was incorrect on that type of thinking. And he just looked at me. And I realized at that time that he had just let me talk the first 2 sessions just to get some of the anger out of me, and to really get some of the questions that I had in me, trying to figure all of this out. And he said, you do understand that this person came into your life because they were supposed to teach you lessons. And you would not be sitting here with me today if that person had not come in to teach you lessons. It doesn't mean that the lessons you learn are always something that you really want to go through. But you will have to always understand, Lee, that any time that you go through the toughest lessons in your life, that's when you're really learning. And this person came into your life, and you wrote it in a chart that this person would be there, and he wrote it in his chart that he would be there. And furthermore, y'all wrote it back and forth about 3 different times when you've been upstairs writing your own charts. And he said, and it's the situation that he was just playing the role of exactly what had been put together for you. And it was your time to learn the lesson of how you could come out of it as a much stronger person, to really put me in the situation of going into my life purpose that I had no clue of who am I. That's a wonderful question to ask somebody, because I, at that point, thought I knew who I was, but I really didn't know anything about me. I was still a kid compared to, what I thought I was. Let's put it that way. And so it was a lesson learning thing. And people come into your life, and you have teachers in your life, and you have all kinds of things in your life that come in. Whereas the lower points of where you think you are is always your best time, because it makes you go deep in your soul to find out, how am I going to get myself into a better place? That's where the lessons learned. If everybody is sitting there and everything's wonderful in their life, and they've never had any type of sorrow or any type of anything going on that's in I guess you would say, a negative mode at the time, that's the way you think, then you really, a lot of times, have not been able to go into who you are. Because your deepest time is always the time of learning.
Yes, and this phrase that we like here, waking up to the connection of your soul, the connection with your soul. Each one of these, whether, to me, a failure is just an opportunity to do just that. It's an opportunity to further deepen that connection with who you really are, that connection to your soul. Whatever it is, whatever challenge it is, to me, that's all it is now. I view it as that. Not to say that, emotions and things don't sometimes run strong, but I believe that's the only thing that we really have. If you want to say the word control, I almost don't even like using that word anymore, because
that's right.
It's almost more like you just have a choice.
That's right.
A choice of what you're going to lock onto. Are you going to lock onto, the negativity, the emotions, or whatever? Are you going to lock onto the joy, what even though you may not be able to see through the end of the tunnel, but just some sort of grabbing onto something that's going to get you through it, to where at the other end there is going to be a light, and there is a light at the other end, even if it's just through other people, finding someone else that can help you see that, or just be a support role for you. We all need that from time to time, do we not?
That's true, we do. and I would encourage anybody that's out there listening to this, that you always have that friend, or you have someone that you can just really pick the phone up or see them in person and visit with them, that is good listeners. Listening is a huge thing. Because when you have both parties talking at the same time, a lot of times that's ego. It's not listening. It's not listening. And that is a huge lesson to learn to do, is to be a good listener, to where other people can go in and talk with you about anything, and there's no judgment about it whatsoever. So there's always that special person that you will be able to find that has the lack of judgment of anything that you say, and you can say anything. I mean, we have that relationship ourselves. Yes. We can say anything to each other, and there's no judgment to it. And we just laugh a lot, because a lot of times, when the other person can kind of look at you and kind of describe, hey, where you at today, Lee? This is what I'm looking at here. Then I can just laugh about it and say, boy, how did I get there again today? I mean, when you're actually thinking in your mind that you've got this life under total control, and you're right, I don't like that word either, but there is people that is in control. That is not even a positive word whatsoever. But that's when you're listening to yourself, then you can switch it. Mm-hmm. And that person can just say, think about it this way. Think about it a little differently than the way you're looking at this. And you will always find that there's a better way to take care of whatever issue that you are in the midst of doing. I can look back on a lot of different things in my life, and thank goodness I've had some great friends that has gone through the years with this. And now I look at myself as being that friend on the other side, to where I can listen to other people, and hopefully just having that ear to talk to is at times the only thing that you need. Yes. Just try not to keep it within yourself, because when you start keeping it within yourself and you don't release it, that's when a lot of times any type of opportunity will not grow that's within you because of fear. And fear's not a good word either. and they can actually open that door for you. Now, as far as there's your free will that comes in, you got your free will to either walk it or to stay where you're at. And that is an assessment that you need to do on your own. And I would recommend a tool for that is totally to go into a meditation state every day. And if you just start out with just getting a CD of meditation that lasts 10, 15 minutes, that's
like
all that you need.
Meditation.
A guided meditation type situation. Or just quieting your mind and just really listening to what messages come in from you from the divine order.
Yeah, and you and I both know sometimes it's a process, and you got to stick with it. You can't just go in there just one time and go bling. It's a process of working through, and I love, again, this picture that was given to us in the original card today, the masks. It's like working through, and to me, meditation has been allowing me to see what masks I have on, because it takes a lot of energy to keep those masks on. And that energy that's used to hold the masks on is the energy that blocks the soul from coming through, and it also is the energy that keeps us tired and worn out and stressed out and all of that stuff. And letting go is one of my favorite words, actually,
yes.
or phrases.
Yes, it's mine as well. And you know, and I always say that, you know, the people that surround you when you're going into your purpose of life is always very strengthening people. You know, don't go falling back into the same old if it hasn't worked for you in previously. You know, sometimes people need to just, as you said, you've shed some people, and sometimes that's what you need to do to be able to go into more of a positive state of thinking. And whatever that it takes for each individual, because everybody's different, whatever that it takes, then the listening part of just listening to your lessons that's coming into you from divine, from your spirit guides or from angels or wherever they come, that you will recognize that and you will honor it and do it.
Yes.
And do it.
So life has been quite a journey with getting to the place that I am, and I know you too, Lee, today. Many, I couldn't say just one thing that's helped me find and get a deeper understanding of who I am. It's really been the tapestry of my whole life that has gotten me there, and the focus of knowing that I have to keep going and keep exploring, and even when there's challenges arise, I just keep on moving through it. Don't stay stuck in it. Just keep on moving through it with the prayer or intention that the answers will come in the way that they need to, and they always have. Whenever I need divine guidance, it always comes through. Sometimes it takes a little longer than my humanness would like it to, but when it does come through, it's always a surprise and delight situation. And sometimes it does also force me or put me in that place of, oh, I got to let go of something in order to accept what was given to me. And when I do it, it's like a huge just moving forward, just woof. You know, it's like a upliftment when that letting go and listening to what was given happens. But for me, one of the many tools, if you want to like list specific tools that have helped me with understanding who I am today, meditation has definitely been one of those. And that meditation has taken many different forms. When I shifted my journey, I think we talked a little bit about this, and I'm sure we're going to get more into our stories and our life and our journeys as we go on with the show. But when I left corporate America and really wasn't sure what my gifts at that time were going to culminate in next, or what I was to do, I just knew that I had to leave and that I wanted to do my own thing. I went to silent meditation and nature to help me quiet all of the clutter in my thoughts, my head, to get back into the natural rhythm of who I was, and with the earth, and just going with the flow of life. Like a stream, a river, it just flows. It runs over the rocks when it needs to. You can just visualize a stream going down. It doesn't go up, it goes down, and it just continues to flow. And learning to go more into that mode in my own life. And so meditation, for me, when it really started with silence, starting to listen, starting to see that all these thoughts in my head that were, this or that, or judgment, or this, or, whatever, that I had a choice in each one of those thoughts, and really getting clear on this, and in so many different spectrums of my life than I had ever been before. Even growing up with positive thoughts create your thoughts create your life. Ever since I was a child, I had to go dig deeper to really understand, and that I was worthy to do some of these things that no one else that I knew had done. Really followed their dreams, that inner child that just wants to just go freely into life. I hadn't really been around people that had done that, and it was my destiny. It is my destiny to do that. But learning to still the storm in the head through silence, and that even if there is a storm in that head, that I'm the only one that can choose to grab on to one of those thunderbolts in my head, or I can just let it go. Just non-resistance. Practice the act of non-resistance to all of those thoughts. And it's been such a journey with that. But starting with that silent meditation, and I did a lot of guided meditations, as you were talking about earlier, where they're so helpful because it would allow me, if I were to describe it, it would allow me to focus onto something and allow that focus to take over the storm of thoughts that were there. And from there, I did more. I did a lot of physical meditation with yoga, because to me that's what it is. It's helping move that energy of the thoughts in through the body by moving it and stretching it and all of that stuff. And so I did a lot of that style of thing for quite a few years, silence and that. And then nowadays it's just totally different for me. Now I'm really utilizing action. If I feel like my life is more of a meditation, like everything I do, it's the art of practicing presence in everything. And I don't per se. Sometimes I do need to just go and sit by myself, but it's pretty rare nowadays. I practice the art of being with whatever is, even if it's a storm that's presenting itself in the midst of people right in front of me. I can just be with it. I don't have to judge it as being negative or bad anymore. I can just practice the art of non-resistance, of not attaching myself to it or having to change it. And what a freedom that is. That has just been such a freedom for me. What about you, Lee? Well,
I'm going back to my life coach when I started going to one years ago. And it was very interesting. The first thing that he said to me on the first session is, you really need to go to a meditation. And he says, and at that time, it was a guided meditation, because he says, you're like a monkey in a cage. He said,
I can relate.
He said, I'm visualizing this monkey just jumping around in this cage at the zoo and running from one side of the cage to the other side of the cage with people looking at them, and they're just trying to make a show and just jumping around and just being happy, because I have that type of personality as far as most of the time happy. And he says, it's like a monkey in a cage. That's what I'd put you at. He said, so what you need to do when you start your meditation, because I was saying to him, I've tried this and it just doesn't work for me. I mean, boy, I was so into me, and it just didn't work for me. And he said, every time that you sit down and you start that CD or whatever device you're going to use for this guided meditation, he said, visualize yourself in a cage, jumping around like a monkey. And he said, and focus on that, and focus that monkey sitting down and actually looking at the people at the zoo that's actually there to be entertained by that monkey.
That's a new one. I love
and it was. But you know what? That still sticks with me because it was. I like simple. I'm simple.
Yeah.
And I like it really simple. And every time that I would sit down and my mind would vary off from what that speaker was saying on that CD, I visualized me being in that cage jumping around like a monkey. So it took that device to put me to that place, and I actually stopped the monkey to where he could just sit down and enjoy the people that was looking at him and enjoying being where they were.
I love that.
It was perfect. And even to today, when I go in there, also I started a Qigong. I would like to say Qigong, you did a lot of the yoga, you did a lot of the dancing. Yeah. I definitely, one of my first things that I did was a Qigong class up in Chattanooga, Tennessee with Jeff. He's out of Miami. And it was absolutely a changing part of my whole life. It actually showed me how to use energy and to be able to take yourself totally out of your head to another place. And you could be anywhere that you wanted to be. It did not have to be where you're physically at. You could go anywhere. And that has continued on and on and on. And I've met a lot of people through that type of energy. And it's been wonderful to the point that Michael and me and you went down to Orlando in November of last year to be with another 5,000 people plus more as far as that type of an energy type of feel. And it's an incredible thing to be. But I also would recommend that as a tool if anybody's interested in that part of it as well.
What is the one that you went to and then I went to later is the Supreme Science Qigong.
Right.
It's kind of a modernized grouping of different Qigong exercises. It was wonderful, and breathing techniques. And
right. And this individual, I mean, he goes all over the world and all over the United States into different type of places. So you might be interested to see that. And he normally advertises in those little monthly natural awakening type books or brochures and that type of thing. And so I would definitely entertain that if he comes anywhere within the area of where you're at, that you would definitely do that as a 2.5 day class. It's wonderful. It's
life transforming, actually.
It's totally a life transforming.
Actually, mine was 4 days. Wasn't yours 4 days? Mm-hmm. Yours was 2.5? Mm-hmm. It was fascinating.
But it was long days.
Yes.
It was long days. I think we had maybe 8 hours of sleep, and that was about the extent of it. I mean, it was long days. But this individual is wonderful.
You know what? I was drawn. You said something earlier that really I think is an important point for everyone to hear. If any of these spiritual tools are not simple, I would recommend looking in another direction. I found that all the things that were complicated on this path were not for me at that time, or they would send me further away from who I am, and I would have to go around and circle back around. I would end up getting back, but that they were kind of like an off-road that would circle back around. So it wasn't a bad thing or anything. It was part of the journey. However, it kind of circled around from who I was and took a long road back. And so if anything feels complicated, I would so recommend looking for something that's simple or being open to simple things coming in.
I agree with that. I agree with that totally. Because I actually went into a couple of organizations that was very high-scholared people, much more than me. I'm just a common middle-of-the-road person. And I think the general public a lot of times really looks at themselves as that, so I can speak for that. That their scholastic ability, I felt totally like I was the only one in the room that really could not even stay up to what they were talking about. They would go talk about all these books of all these people I'd never heard of in my entire life. And I realized that I was actually in a classroom with most of them was professors from UT and Vanderbilt and all of this. And I actually just went in and to visit, and then it made me feel like I was somewhat inferior to that. So I would recommend totally to go into something that's even in your thoughts of it being simple. Back to simple again. And it was very interesting because, and I will give you a little example of this, because I actually went into this place, and there was probably 40 to 50 people there, and I'm just listening to all this stuff, and I just do not understand really anything that they're talking about, because it's just way over my head with this. And then all of a sudden, it just came to me. I haven't heard anything about angels. I haven't heard anything about spirit guides. I haven't heard anything about divine. I haven't heard anything about really any of that type of stuff. And it was very interesting. It was like my spirit guide, which I call him John. He's from India, but I call him John. But anyway, it was like he was speaking in my ear, in my right ear, saying, "You need to say something. You need to say something." And there was the quieting. I had, and I got so antsy before the 2-hour thing was over with, I could hardly control myself. And we got down to almost the ending. We was going to do a little drumming, and I thought, oh, wow, well, this would be good. And I had bought this little tiny little thing that I had bought like at Target or somewhere, because my point of a drumming was just a little tiny thing. These people brought out all these big things. It was $500,000 and all that. Well, there was my inferiority complex coming in again about it. This is embarrassing. I really felt that. And then the message kept coming. And it was like almost to the end of the circle. And all of a sudden, I just raised my hand, and I said, I need to say something. I said, my spirit guide is telling me that a lot of the things that y'all have been discussing here tonight, there's other perspectives and other sides that you can look at that topic. And don't get too stuck in your head that that's the only way that you can do it.
Hallelujah.
Let me tell you what happened. I'll tell you what happened, Michael. It was like, man, we came to the meeting when that happened. It was dead silence. It was like, oh, and I just sat there I'm sure like a deer in headlights, okay? And they absolutely was so inquisitive about that comment that at the end of the meeting, I was there talking with these people for about 30 minutes, asking me, what is a spirit guide? What is this? How did you receive that? How did you do this? How do you do that? Okay? And all of that started. Well, as of today, I'm on the board of this organization still. We've taken it to a whole different level of having a lot of different classes and things that we do twice a month. And it's incorporated the high energy scholastic part of the people down to our level of it being simple. And it's all worked out perfectly. That's that awesome. One moment changed me as a person. And I think it also influenced changing all of the other people that was in that circle at that time. Over that one comment, simple.
I'm so glad you shared that story. Speaking your truth.
It was speaking the truth. And so it was just kind of like I shed my skin that night, because I was so stressed out thinking how inferior that I was to all of these people. And in reality, it was the energies coming together on both ends, as far as they picked up my energy, I picked up their energy, and it all went together as one. There was no judgment with any of us.
That's awesome. Yeah, because we're certainly not saying that the intellectual or all of that stuff, that can be a blast for people and they can love it. But if for you it's too much, then it is too much.
That's
right. Just be where you are, because where you are is perfect.
And I think that to me, the bottom of that story is that when you are yourself and you know who you are as a person, it's always right. It's always right. It's always right for every person there. It's always right. And, don't ever take on the energy of thinking that you're less than, because all of everybody is equal. And everybody has a voice that's just as equal as the next person.
you just hit a fantastic point, because it's been a huge part on my journey, and that is part of understanding who I've been has been through expressing what's on my heart at any given moment, like you did, and learning how to drop the mask, whatever mask that I have held on of the inferiority, or whatever it is, hurt or this or that, dropping those masks and being willing to have the courage just to take a leap of faith and step out with who I am. And that who I am in that moment is what I have to say, or what I have to share, or what you have to share in a moment. That's part of who we are. Each and every, the fabric of our lives, each and every, stitch, which makes up our day and hours and, weeks, each one of those things is who we are. But if we don't ever express, if we keep holding back, keep holding those masks on and our, the old skins and all that stuff, man, we're not going to find out. And I know it can be challenging at times to break and let those masks shatter and pull them down like you did in that meeting, but you just did it. You said, I'm willing to just take this thing off, just speak it. Whatever happens is going to happen.
That's right, and I think that the one thing that really resonated with me was that when I heard that message come to me, I did it. I did it. And I keep saying that over and over, and I'll probably say it 1,000 more times, and there might be people getting really sick of me saying this, but always keep your head, your ears, your eyes open, because there will always be guidance with you 24/7. Don't ever think you're ever by yourself, because you're not. And just open yourself up to be able to go in and listen to whatever messages that come to you, because it will always be perfect.
I'm totally with you. And what would you say to some of those folks out there? I think we both have things to say, to those who say, how do I know when something is a message that I should act on, and when is it something that I should, when is it, like fear? How do I know the difference? Because to me, that's what it is. There is a pretty distinct difference between divine guidance and, our old patterns that keep, no, don't say that. You're gonna break something, or you're gonna make someone mad, or you're gonna make them sad, or this or that. So I don't know if you wanted to speak about that first.
Well, I'll just say something real fast with that, is that whenever you get the message of that type of feeling, that you're going to break this, you're going to break that, or you're going to do, or anything that's just totally just fear, anything that's just totally fear, I would venture to say it's kind of like what I said before, that's your monkey mind working. Mm-hmm. That is not divine guidance coming in. When you totally have divine guidance coming in, it is going to resonate with you to know that it's the truth. And, if you have to play your own mind back into the truth that you just heard, that is all around your mind. It's not around divine guidance. So the key to this is that whenever, and I would say this, I'm getting excited about this right now, you can tell. There's
both of us.
My hyperness is getting this way. But the one thing that you can do with that, there's one word that you need to always have. One word, and you need to pick it. It makes no difference what it is. But if it's the word stop, if it's the word whatever, whenever you get that type of thing going on in your head, you say that one word that you yourself have picked, and you say it to yourself. It will totally stop the pattern of that type of thinking. Totally. That's when you have your energy that's rolling the right way. It's when you can stop it yourself. And that one word, I have my own word. I'm sure you have your own word, Michael. But whenever you hear something that does not resonate with you, and it is totally fear-based, that is totally not divine guidance, because divine guidance is always how to go better, and how to work it out, and how to be happy, and how to appreciate yourself, and all that's around you. It has nothing to do with fear. It has nothing to do with I don't have enough money. I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough family. That's all you. That's not divine guidance. And so pick the word, and I would encourage people to pick the word, one word, and stop your own mind from even going there to the first word that comes to you that totally is not anything but fear-based.
I'm with you on that. It definitely works to just have a trigger word, because there's a difference between like that monkey mind pattern that can go on, and there's that fear, and then there's the fear that I think some people mistake with this isn't divine guidance. That fear that says, oh, but this is going to be challenging, it's going to be difficult, blah, 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 that kind of stuff. Sometimes that's just the fear of not going for it, and the more those build up, the bigger it gets, that type of energy, and the more resistance you have to actually listening to something that was given to you. Divine guidance, to me, it's always repetitious. It may entice you to be a little bit afraid of stepping out of your box at times, but it's not the monkey mind stuff. It's consistent, it's solid, it's some part of you is going to resonate with it. If you go deep enough, you're going to find some kind of inner excitement in there, some kind of like, oh my gosh, enthusiasm or wonder of how this is going to happen or what's going to come out of it. There's going to be something deeper if you're willing to go there to see this consistency. There's something solid about it. It's the repetitious consistency thing. And it's just usually warm and fuzzy. To be honest, there's usually a warm and fuzzy around it, a feeling that just makes me want to listen. And when anything else that's other than that is just fear, but it always is consistent and has this warm and fuzzy thing to it for me. And sometimes I even feel a presence or like some kind of little nudging. I don't know about you, but it's pretty. I think it's pretty easy if you just give it a try out there and put into action. When you're told something, you're given a message. Stop in the store today, or and there's. It's not stopping in the store just to go buy more stuff. If you're one that likes to go in the store to buy stuff all the time, it's probably not going to be divine guidance. If you just hear a quick, "Oh, go in the store," that's probably your mind that's reinforcing an old pattern of buying things. That's not what we're talking about.
No.
We're talking about something that, because that buying thing, that could just reinforce a little high that you get that's temporary. Divine guidance isn't like little temporary highs. It's fulfilling. It's just fulfilling when you follow the guidance from your soul, the divine, in whatever form you want to call it. It's just fulfilling, is it not?
That's true. And I also think that when you feel stretched, and for an example, it would be in a job. Mm-hmm. And you feel like that, you've always been in the same thing, and you keep hearing, maybe there should be a move there, and you're feeling stretched about that. It's because divine guidance is stretching you. Because the only person that is holding you back is you. It has nothing to do with divine guidance. And you might, a lot of times there's battles going on between divine guidance and your own self, in your own mind. But it might continue going on until you actually surrender and get out of your fear base. It will always work out for the betterment of you. You just have to open the gate and go for it. Yeah. And it will always work itself out. So it's not always guidance of being fun with you. Mm-mm. It's guidance of stretching you to go into your own place in your life for your purpose.
And I like that fulfilling word, because fulfilling doesn't stay the same. It's constantly, we're not fulfilled by doing this. Well, there may be some people with a purpose that are fulfilled by doing the same thing every day for their whole life, but and staying in the same thing. But I would venture to say that's pretty small amount of people on this planet that have that fulfilling sense from doing that. And if that's you, then great. But for many of you, I think stretching yourself and growing and expanding is why you're here. And that sense of fulfillment, as Lee was talking about, is that stretching, is that, keep growing. And it feels so good to go into the next phase of your life, the next thing, when you allow it to happen.
That's true. And the word fear, totally take it out of your vocabulary.
False evidence appearing real.
Correct.
It's only as real as you hold on to it.
Exactly.
Well, we've had a great day today.
It's been wonderful.
Who you are out there, who we are, some of the things that we've gone through in our life, and I look forward to touching in on this topic quite a bit more.
I agree. That's always a great topic to tap into, and I would encourage that all that's listening to us to just sit back at the moment and say, who am I? And if you have a struggle answering that question, then you know that you need to get further into yourself.
100% with you. And I had another thought on top of that. Sometimes it's helpful to write it down.
That's true.
And those thoughts, we talked a lot today about those repetitive thoughts, the divine guidance. Sometimes when there's that big disconnect between, trusting those thoughts, write them down and let yourself see how many times they come to you. And sometimes when you see them over and over again, they'll connect. You'll have that reconnection happen, and you'll want to take action. So you may want to try that if it's something you've had trouble with.
I agree with everything you just said, Michael.
Well, we've had a wonderful day here, and we look forward to talking to you all next time.
Listen, thank you so much for joining in with us, and lots of love.
Lots of love.